Hey, it's Rod Yates here. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Humans of Music, a Jaxsta podcast. Each episode, I talk to a music creator or industry professional about their life and career, the ups and downs of their journey, and the lessons they've learned along the way. And my special guest today is British gospel singer Lurine Cato. Now, if you're a fan of Adele or Kylie Minogue or Hosier, there's a good chance you've heard Lurine sing, even if you didn't know it. She was one of the backing vocalists on Adele's 2008 album 19. She performed on Hosier's Nina Cried Power EP, and she spent 2 years touring the world singing backups with Kylie. But Lurine is also an award-winning gospel artist in her own right, often using her talents for charitable work and to raise awareness around issues such as sickle cell disease, as well as performing in prisons. In 2020, Lurine was recognised for her efforts with an MBE, a member of the British Empire, for services to charity and music. As you're about to find out though, Lurine has been through many highs and terrible lows on her path to this point, battling depression and physical and sexual abuse, but persevering throughout with the help of music and her faith. We cover it all in this interview, but we start by going all the way back to the beginning and Lurine's upbringing in the London suburb of Enfield. So you were the 9th of 11 children growing up.
Yes.
What was life like in your household as a child?
Wow, it was a bit like, I don't know if you ever watched The Cosby Show.
Yeah.
Years ago. Yeah, it was like that. We were 11 of us and mum and dad, and we used to put on shows for mum and dad, you know, work really hard upstairs. Oh, they didn't do their part right. Or someone did it funny. And then we'd come downstairs and do this whole show for them, you know. And sometimes, you know, when we fought hard. Right. But the beauty of it was just all the different types of music that was playing in the house, because there were so many of us. You got reggae, you've got jazz, you got my dad playing Jim Reeves, you got rare groove, soul, gospel, you name it. Classical was playing in the house, and pop music just playing in the house all the time. So it was fun.
Wow. And so when you would put on shows, are you putting on shows which draw on those different genres of music, or what sort of shows are you putting on as a family?
Oh, it would be plays with music in it, you know, like musicals, you know, or we will make up our own plays or reenact a film or musical from the TV all the time.
So you're a born performer by the sounds.
Yeah, born. I came out of my mother's womb singing, basically.
Right. And your mother and your father, they were from Jamaica. Is that correct? So they moved from Jamaica to London?
Yes. My mum came over first, I think, and then my dad came over. And of course, building up I didn't think they planned to have 11 children, but yeah, they came from there.
What did they do in London? What took them to England?
For better life, you know, the opportunity to come. And of course, England was looking for help after the war and in the hospitals and rebuilding England. And so my mum came over. She was a nurse, and my dad, he did bricklaying. He was a storekeeper. He was such a handyman, you know, which was always useful for this country. Yeah. Because in Jamaica they built houses. It was like they did it with their eyes closed, you know. Right. Walls and gates and this and that. And so yeah, my parents did that.
And did their heritage, was that a big part of your growing up?
Yeah, big part. I mean, my parents are kind of quite mixed, because there's Italian, there's Portuguese, there's Jew, there's, you know, so most times when people see me, they'll never say that, are you from Jamaica or anything? They'll just say, are you Turkish, are you Greek,
wow.
Brazilian, or everything else but a black woman, you know?
All those different cultures, or even just the Jamaican culture, like how would it infuse the household? You mentioned reggae music earlier. Is that one of the ways that you would feel that culture?
Oh, you know, reggae music it was just so strongly in the house, because, you know, we didn't just have reggae. You've got lovers rock, you've got ragga. it was just all of that. And so it was not exactly a heavy influence in the house. It was just something that was part of what we listened to.
Right.
Well, mainly my brothers and my sister. My sister Elaine, she loved rugga. If she hears it, even now, she's like, she'd be on that dance floor singing all the old tunes and everything.
So your siblings are musical as well?
Yeah, well, my sisters and I, the five of us, we people know us to sing together for different events. So they
Sure.
called us the Cato sisters, you know. And my eldest brother, he can play instruments and sing. And he was known back in the day. He was a bit of a ladies' man, you know. All the women scream at him on the you know, on the stage. He used to have the afro, or he would have the wet look. You know, it was the big thing, and women would gravitate to him, especially when they heard him sing. It was dangerous. So, so he was the only one out of my six brothers that really had a voice.
Okay. Your mother sounds like an incredibly strong woman, and I believe she was actually advised that if she had given birth to you, she may actually die. Was that the advice she was given?
Yeah, her doctor said, you know, my mum was quite short, you know, and but she was in Jamaica. We would say you're small but you're talawa, so it makes basically you're small but you're strong. You know, no one can mess with you, you know.
Yeah.
But she was such a sweet woman as well, you know. But she really believed in God that you know, even though the doctor said you cannot have this child, if you have this child, you will die. My mum believed with all her heart that the Lord will never allow that to happen. And, you know, the doctor went as far as going to my mum's pastor, which some people will see as a vicar, and said, you know, please tell Mrs. Cato she cannot have this child. And as you know, she had me and two other children after that.
Yeah. Do you know if she even entertained the idea of not having you?
When she explained it to me, she never ever said that I was thinking about it or anything like that. No, she was dead set. I think because she's had so many other miracles happen. I mean, she was meant to die a long time ago. She had a growth in her body, and she was meant to. It wasn't good, and she prayed to God. Or I think she went to go and get healing at a church service, and they prayed over her, and it was gone. So
Really?
when you have those kind of
Wow.
I mean, I've got stories like that too of my throat, but we'll get to that. But yeah, it was, you know, and the doctors were amazed, you know, that she was still breathing, living, and having these children.
Yeah. I know that you mentioned God then, and obviously religion, and I know religion was very important in your household, and from what I understand, it was even provided you, I guess, with an opportunity for your first singing experience at the Church of God in Christ when you were 3 years old. Is that the first time that you, whether you remember it or whether you were told that you were singing in public?
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, singing in public, Pentecostal churches, it's like doing a concert every week.
Right.
So everything's live music, mics and everything. You get so used to it. But I was really small with a big voice, and so they couldn't hear me. So they could see me. So, sorry, they could hear me, but they couldn't see me. So they used to put me on chairs and tables, you know. And I used to hate, I was thinking, why they put me on the table again? I was so little, and I used to think like that. I actually remember thinking that way. And I used to go on the table, and everyone would be like, amazed with this little girl, this big old voice.
You just had it from that young age.
Yeah, I used to cry a lot. You know, my brothers and sisters be so fed up with me crying. And my mum said, she's going to be a singer. She's going to be a singer.
So were they really formative experiences for you?
Yeah, definitely. The experiences I had in church, you know, really, really helped me to where I am today. And they really did encourage young people to sing, and we had choirs. You know, there was 3 choirs in my church. So you had the elderly, they would have their choir, and then they had what they call the young people. So that's like older teenagers going up, and then there was us guys who were like 5 to about 15, 16, singing our hearts out, and we were called the Sunshine Band.
Okay.
So, and they used to let us wear like yellow and white to represent what we were called. And yellow and white gowns made by the bishop's wife, who was my godmother. Love her dearly. But when we sang together, we were hot. 3-part harmonies. You don't get that all the time.
That's it. And it's all imprinting in your brain at this point as well.
Oh, yeah. Foundation, completely.
Yeah. I know you won a competition when you were 9. I think was at the Enfield Borough Singer of the Year. So were you were entering competitions at this time as well, and you're actually branching out into the big wide world?
Yeah. In fact, I started my first competition when I was 8. And I came second place. It was they were doing heats and stuff in the park near me. So me and my friend went there to take part in it. Said, bye, Mom, bye. And we went to the park. We're singing Denise Williams' song, Let's Hear It for the Boy. Yeah. Let's hear it for the boy. And but she was too young. And she said, just do it by yourself. And I did it. I came second place. So my sister said to me, you're going to go into it the following year and you're going to sing a song that's going to make the judges cry. So you better sing. So I had to sing The Greatest Love of All.
Wow.
It's actually originally done by George Benson.
Right.
Also done by Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
And I had to practice that thing hard. And my sister said, you don't come downstairs until you make me cry with that song. So I had to really connect, as a 9-year-old, connect with the song, connect with the words. And when I started singing it to her, she went, you're ready. And of course, that year I won. I won in my age group.
Yeah.
And then they did it was also overall, who won overall, and I won that as well.
So how is it several years later that Virgin come onto the scene and offer you a record deal? Do they find out about you through performances such as that, or how did that even happen?
I think that happened when my brother went to his friend and said, he's had a little studio down the road from where we lived, and get my sister in the studio, let her do it. She's got some song. I wrote this song called Soft and Gentle. It's actually, sorry to be so crude, but I was actually sitting on the toilet at the time. And
is that what it was about?
And there's a deodorant can called Soft and Gentle. So basically, when you spray it onto your armpit, it's not gonna. It's gonna feel soft and gentle, but it's gonna do the work. So I made it as me and this guy. If you want to be with me, you got to be soft and gentle. And so the guy at the studio he was amazed that I could do all harmonies, because I came from church singing in choirs. I knew how to do harmonies. And he's thinking, this 13-year-old knowing how to do harmonies and everything. And I think he spoke to them, and then I was approached to get this deal. And I kind of turned it down.
Right. So, I mean, before we talk about why you turned it down, what did they want to do with you? To turn you into a pop singer, or?
Didn't get that far.
Okay.
Didn't get that far. Didn't even want to have the meeting.
Really? Why?
You know what it was? I think I saw so many young pop stars do so well at the beginning, and then even back then was going into rehab. And it was a scary thing for me. And even though I wanted to be a pop singer, I just thought, what's the point of doing this if you're going to end up in rehab? So I just thought, and as also, and I came to another crossroads because coming from a Christian church, I wanted to be a Christian. And, if you can't really do both things, like be a pop star and be a Christian, back then, that's what we believed anyway. And I just thought, no, I'm not going to go to rehab. I'd rather be a Christian. And that's what I chose.
Wow. I mean, that's a remarkably mature thought process for a 13-year-old.
Well, when you grow up with adults in the house, you kind of think differently.
Sure. And did you ever regret that? Not becoming a Christian, but saying no to that record deal?
No, never.
Okay.
Never. I think maybe when I was a teenager, I thought, oh, I should have done it and all that now and again. But no, it didn't play on my mind, you
Yeah.
know?
Okay. So you make that decision. How does that then impact your life? You make that decision to commit yourself to Christianity and the church. How does that impact you?
Yeah, I just committed my life to God, really, because church is the building, it's the people, you know? But my life to God was, my relationship with God was so important to me at that time. I still wasn't really mature in my approach to Christianity because as a teenager, you're going to do silly things and think, oh, you know, not supposed to do that, but hey,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
young,
Yeah.
you know? And the thing is, I wasn't just, you know, I've been approached so many times from different major labels and turned down every single one of them.
At various points in your life.
Yeah, yeah.
Same thinking?
Well, it's slightly different. It was the same thing as like my Christian walk, but at the same time, it was more to do with who they wanted me to be. So they were literally, some I had literally was in the office, in the place, and they actually showed me a picture of an artist. I remember her name was Olivia from America. She did a song with 50 Cent, and they said, yeah, we want you to be a UK version of that. I just
Right.
looked at them like, no, that's not me.
Sure. How old do
You
you when you
know?
think that? How old do you reckon you were when that happened?
Oh, I was in my 20s then. I was
Okay.
about 27 then.
Yeah.
And even before that, at the age of 18, another record company came to me and my friend because it's a little story. My friend, she's got a brother who he lived in America for a long time playing drums for top artists. He came over to stay with his sister, and I was popping round her house, and every time we get together, because she could sing so good, she used to live in America as well. They both were born here. And we're always singing, making up songs, all of that. We're doing all the riffs and everything. And then she goes, I'll do my answer machine, you know, and let's sing something. And it went something like this. I'm trying to remember. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but Marie isn't here. So leave your name and number, and she'll get back to you. Leave your message after the bleep and make it short and sweet, short and sweet. Something like that.
So nice.
So we did that in harmony and everything. And so these American guys from some record company, no, it wasn't record company, it was some musician that was calling for her brother that was staying at the house at that time.
Yeah.
No one was there and they heard the answer machine. They lost their minds, you know? So I don't know how they recorded it, but they recorded it and made some other guy here in America. They heard it and then they sent it to some record company. I won't disclose who it was, but it was a major one. And they heard it. That was it. They contacted us. I was 18 at that time.
Wow.
They contacted us and they were losing their minds, wanting to meet us. A limo came to pick us up.
Yeah.
You know, took us to this big house in Luton. And when we walked into this house, we just saw, you know, plaques, record plaques and everything everywhere. And yeah, they were like, you girls are going to be big.
Wow.
All this kind of, yeah, it was. And they asked us to sing and we're just singing songs that we made up and they were losing their minds. But once again, I was like, this is not for me.
Again, it's really interesting that you had that presence of mind to go, this isn't right for me, because most people in that situation would jump right in, I would think.
Yeah, they would. And I think, you know, being a Christian, everyone's got a calling on their lives, whether you're a Christian or not. There's something that you know within you, you need to do. And I knew that if I was to go for these record deals, I will never have my life. And you hear these things so many times from top artists, and some of them won't even share it because of fear. You know, I'm not saying the record industry is all bad, but once you get into that world, you've signed your life away, really, because you are now their product. And you have to do what is on that contract. Yes, you do have a say somehow, but I just thought, I know I've got to do something, but it's not this.
Yeah, okay. And I know that I've seen you speak in interviews before about some of the, I guess, tribulations that you faced growing up, one of which was being groomed and sexually abused as a teenager.
Yeah.
How did you survive that?
Seriously, I have no idea. I have no idea, because when I was younger, it was like another world. It was like something I couldn't share and wanted to, but it was shame, you know? You feel shame, you feel like you're the problem, it's your fault. And especially the person that's grooming you, what they put in your mind, you know? And when it started when I was 13, and then it escalated. And what they do is that for a lot of young people, your hormones is going crazy at the age of 13. So people can speak things into your head and you believe it, you know? So they caught me at a time where every teenager's hormones is going mad. You think your parents don't love you. You don't love me. You know, all this. You know, you're rude sometimes. You're happy, and then you feel down, and you feel like I'm ugly. You know, there's so many things that is going on in your head. So they caught me at a very pitiful time in my life, and they just, as you said, grooming, like took their time to speak into my life and made me feel like I believed everything they said. And they knew how to talk to me in that young kind of, I get you. I get what you understand, your parents might not really understand you. And, it's all of that. And so I went through years of that. Years, I'll say, from the age of 13 all the way to the age of 21.
Wow.
And he was a youth leader, and they end up being a friend, but it's more than a friend, isn't it? Because of what you're going through, it's a lot deeper. It was tough. That was really tough, because in school I used to fight as well. I would fight kids, and even though they say she has so much potential, and I knew I had, but it was affecting me, and I couldn't share it with my family. It was hard.
I was going to say that fighting at school, was that perhaps an outlet or a way that you could vent without having to verbalize what was happening? Yeah,
and not knowing that was the cause, not knowing that was, that was what I was venting off. You don't know it when you're young.
No, which must have been incredibly an isolating experience.
Yeah, it was, and wanting to shout it from the rooftops what you're going through, but at the same time I'm thinking, why is this person still getting away with this? And I think I did try to say something to somebody, but not too scared to explain what is going on, so nothing is done about it.
Does music become even more important during this time? Does that give you an outlet as well, singing, and or not?
Oh, it was. I guess it was, because I never stopped singing. I was writing songs. Like I said, you don't realise how it affects you, because it's like another world. And once you get out of that, you just, you hate it. You just get on with everything else. That's the world that everyone sees me in. But that is a different world. You can't explain.
After the break, Lurine talks about touring with Kylie, singing with Adele, and overcoming the incredible personal challenges she's faced throughout her career. Welcome back to Humans of Music and my interview with Lurine Cato. How far into your 20s was the opportunity to tour with Kylie Minogue?
I was like 27. I was 27. A lot happened when I was 27. 27, 28.
Okay.
And you know what's great about coming from church is that a lot of the musicians were playing for all the artists out there. You know, they were playing for like Shaka Khan and things like that. And so, you know, they would say, Lurine, do you want to come and do some BVs for this person and that person and all of that? And so the more people see you and see that you are good,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, that's how it happens. It's like when people see you, if you're seen and they hear you and they see how you are with your character and everything, they like, oh, I've got to get her for the gig, you know, and all that. And so I'll be honest with you, I was singing BVs for somebody else, and the drummer, we were doing, I think a record company was going to see the artist, and an hour before they came, they changed the song. And I was the only backing vocalist there. And they said, right, we've got to learn this quick. So I'm learning my parts and everyone's learning their parts at the studio. And we practiced it like 15 minutes before.
Yeah.
And slam dunk, you know, the guy got the deal and everything. So the drummer was really impressed with me, and he goes, and I think he called me like a week after, and he goes, listen, do you want to come and sing backing vocals for Kylie Minogue? And
Wow.
I don't want to sing I Should Be So Lucky. Then he said, we're going to Australia. I said, I'm packing my bags. I was like, what? But Kylie blew me away, you know.
Yeah.
She blew me away. You know, you keep on hearing about this pop princess and everything, and you're just like, I love doing Neighbours and all that kind of thing. And I just thought it was just like that sugarcoating pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, but when I saw her work ethic, I was blown away. It was the first time, it's my first tour, and it's the first time I saw artists working in that way. So the whole studio's there, and she's in one room doing the dancing. She comes to the next room, she's working with us, and then we're working, you know, the songs with the musicians, and she goes back in there, and then she has to put the two together. And then I saw how she treated everyone. I saw how she treated the caretaker, the person that's sweeping the floor, the person that's doing this, and knowing all their names, and she is sweet. You can't, like, she
Yeah.
is what you see.
Yeah.
She's just lovely, you know? And we both had a love for a TV show called 24. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were both like, I said to, hey guys, this is in rehearsals. I said, guys, is anyone like watching 24? And she was the only one, and she came running over to me, and we're like, oh my gosh, we were talking about it. And I said, question please, how are we gonna see this on tour? She goes, Lurine, I sorted it out. So every night I would go into a hotel room, and she would give me the stuff to take off our makeup from the show, and we would sit on the bed to watch the show.
Wow. So how long, because I think the tour was the On a Night Like This tour. How long were you on the road with Kylie for?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years. I did both tours. I did On a Night Like This, and oh gosh, what was the other one called? It's gone out of my head. Can't get it out of my...
That's right.
Yeah, but... Well, I did the other one, Fever.
Sure,
The Fever tour, yes. So we did both of those. I was with her for 2 years.
What did you see of that world? What did you think of that world? And you mentioned that you were surprised at how hardworking Kylie was, but just in terms of the general logistics of being a touring artist and the rigors of it, what did you see of music at that level?
Amazing. I saw that, you know, it was lovely how they how it all worked. So basically, for a backing vocalist, when you get sent the songs, you're learning it at home, and then they say, okay, in the next few weeks we're going to go into the studio and put the BVs down for the show. So we did all that, And then when you do that, then we've got rehearsals with just us and the band. And then it's with her. And I just saw the build up and then the pre-production. So what the stage is going to look like. What is this? So I was like, whoa, you know, this is deep, because I was doing BVs before, just the shows and this. But when you're doing like a major tour,
Yeah.
and I just saw like there's got to be a creative director and the show producer and the this and the that. And I was just like, and the whole crew that puts the stage together, and then the catering team and just everything, the after show parties, the free clothes and food and the yachts and and then you're going to somebody's house and they're bringing koala bears and they're bringing letting you ride on horses, and you're like, this is work. this isn't work. This is a holiday for 6 months. And then, you know, singing in the evening for the concerts was just like, hey, let's have fun, you know?
Yeah.
It just wasn't work.
Okay.
It was sheer fun.
Nice. Was it true that for a while there you were looking like singing for Massive Attack and the Brand New Heavies? Were they in the mix?
Wow. So yeah, this happened, I think it was the end of 2000. Oh, in 2003, I was offered to be the front singer for Massive Attack and do a tour. And also, yes, like you said, Brand New Heavies. And I had to turn them down because I just had a son then. And what hit me back then was all the things that I'd been through. Because not only was I molested, I went into a relationship where I got raped, I got beaten, you know, I was suicidal, I was depressed, and just going through so much. And I think it all came to a head when I had my son, and looking for help. And so I couldn't go any further. And I was even asked to do another year with Kylie. And I was like, but I've got a son. She's like, we'll take care of you. You know, she just wanted me to be all right and she will help me. But I wasn't right in my mind. And I just wasn't this Lurine today. Nowhere near it. So, yeah.
So you just basically you decided to focus on being a mother. That was what you felt that you needed
And
at that
getting
point?
myself well. Yeah.
Yeah. And how did you do that?
It took a while. It was a bit of a journey because I had another child after that. Like, literally, my kids are a year apart. Same father and all that. And but I just wasn't in my right mind. And so it took a lot of prayer and just really seeing my Lord and talking to him and guiding me in how do I get better. And he just showed me so much love, so much. You know, so many people say to me, how did you get out of depression? How did you not want to kill yourself anymore? Like, how did you, I remember going to London Bridge and wanted to just go because I felt my life was rubbish. I felt like, hey, I wasn't even meant to be here in the first place. My mum had me, but what's the point if this is my life? And I'll never forget, it was a cold night and I was wearing a big coat. And I heard this small voice say to me, if you jump, you're going to float because you're wearing a puffer jacket.
Really? You just...
Seriously.
Just a small voice in the back of your head.
Yeah. And I knew that was God. I knew that was Jehovah God. I knew that was him. Because he doesn't come as he came just really just in my ear. And I thought, well, I'm not going to do that because I don't fancy floating on my back, and I was unsuccessful. And then was like, can someone save that girl down there? Like, just, no. But I still didn't want to be here. And I tried so many attempts to get rid of my life. But when I really reach up to God and say, just make me into a true Christian, that's all I want to be. He just took time with me because all I had was 1%. And he said, I would work on that 1%. and he taught me how to read the Bible and understand it. And I had friends like, not I don't have many, but the close friends, they will send me like really words of encouragement. And I used to put like pieces of paper around my house and say, you know, God loves me, I love him, or my children are going to be successful. And in fact, I couldn't really see those things at the time. But the more I looked at it, the more I believed. And they were just scrap of pieces of paper on the wall in this really nice place that I was living in. But it was like, it was saving my life each day and I didn't even know it.
Right.
And I lived in that place for 15 years and I didn't even realise they were still on the walls, because what you see and what you read is what you become. Because we say, as a Christian, life and death is in the power of your tongue.
Okay. Wow.
So whatever you say, you will be. So if someone said, "Oh, I'm rubbish," "Oh, I'm just a rubbish person," you know, "I don't think much of myself," then you will act that way and you can continue to be that. But if you say, "You know what? I don't see it right now, but I'm going to be great. Things are going to work out. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be," that's life.
Right. So while you're going through all that, are you still singing? Because there was a period I understand that you stopped. Is that correct?
5 years. For 5 years, I stopped singing, and I went through counselling as well. I'm a believer of counselling, and my family was praying for me and everything. So yeah, I stopped singing. I used to see my friends do some backing singing on TV. Back then, you still had Top of the Pops. Back then, you had CD UK and all the shows that were showing people singing live. And I used to watch it and cry and go, "Oh, that should have been me."
Right.
You know, I used to cry, but I knew I had to get better.
Sure.
I looked at my children and I thought, they cannot have this mother. They cannot, no matter what.
So when you do eventually start coming back to singing, and I think you sang on Adele's album 19 in, is it 2008? So at that point, was that one of your first, was that part of your re-entry back into singing? Like what brought you to that?
Yeah, well, a friend of mine called Lawrence Johnson, who got me loads of backing singing jobs back in the day, he called me up and, do you want to do this? And I thought, at that time, of course, who's Adele? Who is she? Right there, it was like, just a girl, need some BVs. I'm getting paid? Okay, let's do it, back then, I used to see her in the studio. She's smoking. This is when we could smoke in studios and drinking. And she's like, "Hi, yeah, you lot sound great," Yeah, I think it was 2 songs on that album. Yeah. Didn't know that she was going to be a giant in the game. But I knew that her voice shocked me. I thought, well, this girl can sing,
Okay.
know?
So I was going to ask what you remember of those sessions, but the fact that she wasn't, Adele at that point in terms of worldwide megastar,
Yeah.
I guess perhaps you're not even as conscious of taking really real note of what she's like and what's happening in that session. Was that the case?
Yeah, I mean, I always look at, the artists, like, especially if they're there at the session. I always like see how they are, how they carry themselves, what they're like and all that. I'm quite observant, So I do remember very clearly, I remember her sitting on the side, smoking, drinking, and just like, "Yeah, you guys sound great," I do remember that, And she had her fringe at the time, the
Sure.
famous fringe and everything. Yeah, but I just thought this will just be in the system.
Sure.
This album will just be in the system, not,
Right.
know?
I just wanted to ask you briefly about some of the charity work you've done, because you do a lot of charity work, and in fact, were awarded with an MBE last year for your services for charity and music. What does an MBE? What does that represent to you to get that award? What does it mean?
Of course, for those that don't know, MBE is Member of the British Empire. Okay, so what the British have built up in their empire. So I'm a member there, and I see awards as doors. Every award is a door, and every door leads you to another greater door, another greater door. And of course, there's loads of doors, but not every door is for you. So you've got to know what door to go through. And I see them as opportunities to share God's peace and love to people. So that's what I do. The whole reason why I do what I do now, it's not really for the stardom. I know that comes with it. We get that. That's what it comes. It comes with it. But literally, those awards helps me to help more people. Next year, I'm doing a concert. This is the first time I'm telling everybody. A concert with a full female gospel choir with a full female band.
Wow.
And it's regarding domestic violence and helping a refuge to get money and helping people to train churches how to deal with domestic violence in the church and in the community. So when I sing, and the more successful I am in this field, the more that you meet people and they recognize what you do so that you can heal the brokenhearted. That's why I do it. So that's what these awards mean to me. It just allows me to step through more doors to heal people's hearts, and especially in the time that we're living in today.
Is that empathy and that desire to help people, was some of that embedded in you, do you think, from some of your experiences growing up and wanting that help or how that assistance would have helped you?
Absolutely. And people see people like me on stage and they think, oh, you just got the best life. No, you ain't been through what I've been through. And so when they see that and then you share your story, it's like, okay. Because everyone thinks that they're going through something alone. So for me, my experiences have pushed me into, some people say, I wish that never happened to me. I'm kind of glad it happened to me because it's given me a heart for those that are going through it and think they're alone and think they'll never get out. And they think they'll never become a greater person than what they are. And I've had so many people say that I was going to commit suicide until I heard your story. I heard you sing somewhere and I didn't, all these things, it just makes me want to keep on going.
You mentioned the fact that, people might look at your life and think it's all great. And, I know that you go into prisons and you do some work in prisons. I imagine that when you share your story with them, as you mentioned earlier, when you share your story with people, it helps them. Is that what you do in the prisons?
Yeah, definitely. I share my story and I sing. There's one song that I always love to sing. There's quite a few, but there's one major song that most people want to hear, and that's called Keep Fighting, that I sing. And they always ask me to go to the notorious prisons. I've been on prisons that have been on islands, that are on islands. And when you go to a prison that's on an island, they're like, they ain't getting out. They can't do nothing.
Yeah.
But when you see the men, they've tried to do programs with those men and they're not budging. They're not progressing. They're beast, And when I go in there and share my story and how I talk to them, and then I sing to them, you actually physically see their faces changing and they want to cry. And some of them will walk out, they fix themselves, come back in, and I'm still singing and I'm getting stronger with my voice and my tone, and God helping me through that as well. And they just completely break down and cry.
Wow.
And I always tell them, you can be in prison, but you can have a free mind. Because there's people that are living out here that are imprisoned with things that's holding them down, and they are free, but they're not physically free. They don't feel free or spiritually free. And so some of them, when they hear things like that, they're like, I want that free mind, so.
Yeah.
And there's been loads of success stories of guys coming out of prison and even coming to my concerts.
Right.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It must be an intimidating experience, but perhaps for the first couple of times that you went into prisons anyway. Did you feel that?
Absolutely. The first time I went to a prison, I said, why haven't they got handcuffs on? What's going on?
Right.
But I'm thinking, hey, Lurine, you're in their territory. I was like, where's the handcuffs? I was so scared. But then I was like, because when we go there, we go into the chapel because every prison's got a chapel. And then when you go into the chapel, a lot of guys, they either was brought up Catholic or brought up Pentecostal Christians or something like that. And that's where they get their peace. So we're asked to do like concerts there, or there's it all depending who I go in with. They're either doing like they've done a program with them and it's the award ceremony, so they asked me to sing. So, but there's a few times I've gone in prison with this company called Love Life UK, and when I went on my first day at this prison, I saw men, Asian, white, Black, Indian, no matter what nationality they were praising God. And some of them were even on their knees crying. I felt like I went away on a retreat to restore my life because I was crying. I was watching them going, these guys, and then when I go on there and sing, I'm trying to hold back the tears, and I'm just blown away by people would never ever see this. They will never believe you, and they used to nickname that place and that certain part of the prison, Jerusalem.
Right.
It'll blow you away.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a dream to do a live recording concert in a prison.
Okay. I'm sure it can happen.
Sure it will.
Johnny Cash did it.
I know, and I definitely, I will do it. I'm close.
Nice. Lurine, just before we finish up, Jaxsta is all about giving credit where credit is due. Are there people you'd give credit to for helping you get where you are today?
Oh, definitely. First of all, the Lord Jesus Christ, no doubt about that. My family, my mum, my dad who have passed away, but my family, all of that. And artists like Isaiah Raymond Dyer from Raymond & Co., this gospel group that they taught me so much. Andrea Robinson. And these are people that you don't know. I could say so many stars, but there were people that pushed me. My sister Marlene, who's my manager, my sister Jennifer, who always believed that I was going to be on the stage. And I used to say to her, do you want me to karate chop you in your head? I don't believe it. I want to give credit to Jerry Brown and Nikki Brown. These are musicians, top musicians that push me out there. Luke Smith, Jonathan Beckford. These are musicians that they played for greats, but they put me on the stage. They gave me a chance. Lawrence Johnson, Priscilla Jones, Mark Beswick. There's so many people. These are people that no one knows.
Sure.
Well, musicians and top artists will know.
Yeah.
But I want to give credit to them.
Okay.
Give credit to them.
Lovely. Lurine, thank you so much for your time. It's been so great to chat with you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for dragging me out of my bed.
I know it's so
I appreciate it.
I know it's so early over there. I really appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And that's it for another episode of Humans of Music. A big thanks to Lurine for her time, and thank you for listening. If you have any feedback on the show or suggestions on who you'd like me to interview, or even if you just want to say hello, please drop me a line at humansofmusic@jaxsta.com. That's Humans of Music, one word, at Jaxsta, JAXSTA.com. This episode was mixed by Lachlan Mitchell from Parliament Studios in Annandale, and the incidental music and theme song were written and performed by Sam Lockwood. Please remember to subscribe to the Humans of Music podcast so you never miss an episode, or even better, share it amongst your friends and rate and review it. And remember, next time you need to know who wrote a song, who produced a song, who engineered it, who played on it, who sang on it, who did anything on it, head to jaxsta.com for all your official music credit information. Until the next episode of Humans of Music, I'm Rod Yates. Thanks for listening.